What happens when a promoter texts you, I'm working on this event and we'd love to have a guitar player from the district play this beautiful and legendary status song. I thought of you, what do you think? And at the same time that I'm really excited to do it and even think to myself, I have the perfect guitar for it that I had made for these specific scenarios and you wouldn't even imagine, but I love the song and I've been wanting to cover it for years. There's only one problem. I look at my schedule and calendar and between work and all sorts of other projects, I only have a maximum of 10 days to work on it. Crazy, right? Perhaps. This is what this documentary is all about. This is an obvious example of what I like to call the autopilot syndrome. Nothing very crazy here. This might be the only time I have to practice.
I left my backpack at home.
My computer just can't handle it. You really can't tell I'm sick. So update, it sucks ass. It sounds really, really bad. Gonna have to figure out another solution. I'm just going to briefly preface this as I'm Mark from the future compared to the other vlog sections that you're going to be watching. Even though I was told about this gig way earlier than just 10 days before, I was not only busy with all sorts of projects, but I was also having some personal and work problems, which really took away a lot of my time. So I decided to, while vlogging during the 10 days, not do any setup or commentary or even history stuff so that I could really make use of all the time that wasn't really that much to just focus on the song and the arrangement. So whenever you see this angle and this t-shirt, it's now after those recordings, and I'm just going to insert myself into some of the vlogs, mostly to just give you a little bit of extra context. Now let's be clear about this. I'm no historian. I knew bits and pieces of the lore and then I studied a little bit more to do these sections of the videos, not only by reading articles in old magazines and journals and looking up for stuff online, also watching some documentaries and the movie itself, but I'm going to leave the disclaimer here that something I might say might not be 100% accurate, but it's all with good intentions, and if anything, if any Portuguese people are watching this and want to chime in the comments and leave more information or correct me, please be free to do it. And if you're not Portuguese and want to learn more about it, please go do your own research. A bunch of these documentaries, movies, and interviews, or even research papers are mostly in Portuguese, so they might not be super easy to translate. But if you do, trust me, I think it's probably going to be worth your while, since you're probably not going to know who I am. My name is Mark Henriques. I'm a Portuguese electric guitar player, but I mostly think of myself as a composer. In fact, if you'd like to, you can go into my YouTube channel, or pretty much anywhere else you listen to your music at, and go listen to some of my albums, EPs, and other stuff. While most of my released songs have been in this like pseudo-symphonic progressive instrumental rock genre. Which you can find between volumes 1 to 3 of Brad Baker demos. I love all sorts of music and compose in all sorts of music, which is kind of the main reason I got this guitar. I designed this instrument along with Rui Silva guitars, and while I've been busy with all sorts of projects and haven't been able to release as much music with this guitar than I would like to, the truth is I'm always working on arrangements of songs in like these solo guitar arrangements. There's a whole set of videos which you can watch straight about it, but what you need to know is that it's a 7-string guitar, mostly with a telly layout. These pickups look like P90s, but they're not P90s if you're a guitar player nerd, and it has an extra lower string which allows me to do a little bit more of chordal arrangements and add some interesting bass notes to pre-existing chords that perhaps you can't do on a regular guitar unless you're down tuning or experimenting with alternate tunings. And while we'll be seeing each other again, let's perhaps just go straight into day 1 and learn more about it and other things along the way. I just want to mention, sorry for the whole janky setup for this first section. I left my computer exporting like 50 videos during the night, and they were all small videos and nothing very crazy, but for some reason my computer crashed, so now I need to having it exporting videos, which means that I have to be listening to the song through my iPad connected to the speakers, and I don't have access to my regular microphone setup, but it would either be this or nothing, and I'm doing this because that way I'm forcing myself to do it and not leaving it and then procrastinating and then not even doing it in the first place. And who knows, maybe you wouldn't even have noticed if it wasn't for like the new moon that my guitar keeps reflecting over here. So probably the first thing we should do is listen to the song. Now the song itself that I'm going to be playing is especially special to me because if you've seen some of my older videos, you know that I have a thing for film scoring. Not only have I talked throughout my social medias about different movie scores and themes, but I've also made my own fun challenge videos of trying to make a theme for a specific character, movie, TV show, video game, whatever it might be, but in a challenge format of a spin the wheel type where I get some sort of restriction like the director of a movie would give to a composer in the way of vibe, mood, genre, whatever it might be. And this song that we're going to be covering, Verdes, or Verdes Anos if you want to be like that, which basically translates to Green Years, is actually the main theme for a movie called The Green Years, Os Verdes Anos. which I hadn't yet watched before the proposition of this gig appeared. Not for any specific reason, just I didn't really have the proper timing to do it. So when you put together all these ingredients, a Portuguese song by a Portuguese artist for the Portuguese guitar, which I don't exactly play, but even then, guitar-oriented song that I already wanted to cover in the first place, and it's a theme for a movie, I couldn't feel more connected with this. Well, I guess I could if, hypothetically, the way that the song is composed, like the note choices, the chord progressions, were any bit like the sort of sensibilities that I have, but surely that would be way too much of a coincidence, right? This is a song that I've been wanting to work on for a bunch of time now. There's this great Portuguese guitar player that I follow on Instagram, and he's great, I love his tone and his style, and he covered this song in a resonator guitar, and as soon as I heard it I was like, damn, he got to it first. And obviously none of this is a competition. My arrangement will of course be somewhat different. I will not be basing myself on any version other than the original one, but yeah, I'll be listening to the song for this first part, try to connect to some of the themes, figure out the key center and chord changes, that sort of a thing. So let's see where this goes. This was the first listen, and like I said, I kind of knew a little bit of the song already. The main theme is just very beautiful and ear-catching in the first place. It's a small song too, just 3 minutes long, and to me there are these two main sections, which makes it a little bit easier for me, because we can then try and arrange things a little bit differently, while still maintaining the vibe of the song, but it makes it a little bit more freeing than having a very strict layout and structure. The song is slightly out of tune, but it's mostly good enough to just play along in 440. It's clearly in G minor. Which is kind of cool because it's a good key for the 7th string. We can make use of a couple of open strings and also profit of lower notes like the D, E flat, and C. It's very much a modal G minor melody, but it has some interesting chord changes. Don't quote me on that, but it feels like we're going like G minor 7, or maybe even an F or B flat, and then to a C chord. Perhaps even C7 or C7-9, which in some ways is like a G minor 6. Now, in case it's not been clear enough, I'm learning the song by ear, so I'm playing the song, trying to hear the chord changes, trying to identify some of the roots and some of the extensions. Like, there's plenty of parts in there where I can listen to some of the intervals and bass note changes going on, and I hear an A, and I'm like, oh, we're in G minor, kind of like a G natural minor-ish scenario. So like A, this is probably A half diminished, which will probably lead us to like a D7, which will then resolve us back to G minor. A mix of functional harmony mixed with theory, mixed with just kind of like experience of listening to a bunch of songs and learning a bunch of songs over the years. So my thought process is I should probably listen to the song a couple of more times, try and really get the structure and themes in my head, try to figure out the melody properly, and after I do figure out the melody, I should probably figure out the chords, and then try and mesh things together. I can probably do everything at the same time, the song isn't that complicated, but even then, it doesn't hurt to keep things segmented, because in some ways, I kinda need to be able to just play the song as it is, almost as if I was just doing a regular cover, and then work on my own arrangement of it. Which at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a Like your demo style arrangement in more of a symphonic, progressive, instrumental rock sort of a vibe, or if I'm going to go for a more solo guitar sort of a piece. But I guess we'll figure that out along the way, won't we? And because I'm Portuguese, probably our most recognizable genre would be Fado music, or I guess for like an American pronunciation would be Fado. And it's known for being a very melancholic, kind of sad music, but it is much richer than that. In fact, between different areas of the country, there's even different variations with different techniques, different specs and instruments, and even very often completely different vibes. So while this pseudo-documentary of mine isn't really going to showcase all the differences between all the different Fado genres, and I'm not really going to be playing Fado in the traditional sense, I hope that this is maybe a way to introduce some of you guys who never heard of this genre of music to go do some research not only on the artists that we're going to be talking about, but even some different artists, and who knows, even other Portuguese genres of music. So after a second listen, I kind of got the structure a little bit better. The B section is a little bit more epic, and in the main section there's this part where the melody goes, and then after that the melody repeats, but the bass note slash chord progression kind of changes a little bit. Overall first listen vibes, I think it's doable. I don't think it's a hard song to figure out. Like I mentioned before, I'm not sure how I'm going to do my arrangement, but at this point I kind of just want to get the song down properly. Really make sure I get the song in my head, because like I mentioned, I know the main melody, I know the main vibe. The B section, not so much, but it's not really complicated. I just really need to listen to it and get it in me. That's what she said! I started recording this section around 1:30 p.m. and it's now 2. I've heard the song a little bit, and now it's a matter of keeping up at it. I'm gonna go have some lunch, maybe listen to the song again, this time without the guitar on me. I'll return when I have an update. Alright, so it's currently like 11:30. I ended up not being able to play much throughout the afternoon. I mean, I did, but I was teaching, so it wasn't exactly the best time to get some chops down. You actually gotta focus on your student. And then I got home around 8, did some chores, had some dinner, had to upload all the videos about this guitar, which took me longer than I expected because I could only upload 15 videos at a time to YouTube, and I ended up having like 56 or 57 videos in total. In the meantime, I did some thumbnails and was listening to the song. I also listened to it while I was driving and throughout the afternoon. And now I was thinking of playing without the song, just trying to capture some of the vibes of the song. Again, G minor. If you've seen some of my other videos, the key of G minor always reminds me of Still Loving You by the Scorpions. But I should probably try and focus on the greenest years that one could ever possibly experience. Surely that will make it more inspiring. But yeah, to be honest, shorter vlog than I was expecting. Just too much of a busy day today. I'm sure the video and audio quality isn't the best either, but I'm just going to be playing the same guitar through the Quad Cortex, through the effects return of my Katana 100. I'm fortunate to have a studio space where I can still be somewhat loud throughout the night, so let's try and jam a little bit and see where we end up. I'm struggling with some of the shapes. Like there's this section where we go from like C7 or G minor 6 to like an E flat chord, and I keep going for this shape here. Then I can then change to a C minor because the bass note switches to C. Okay. And I guess I should probably go for this shape here. And I'd stay much closer to all the other shapes, but I still don't have the muscle memory to do that. But I think that's probably something that I should focus on. Obviously, the song is played on a Portuguese guitar, which is at least a somewhat different instrument. There's a lot of like heavier vibratos, like when they go for the melody. And they go straight away for it with most of the notes. Like, I try to hold on to the note a little bit before I engage the vibrato, almost like a singer does. But the tradition of Fado music isn't really like that. And sometimes these chord changes aren't the same twice, so I kind of have to memorize the form of it. That was actually sounding pretty cool there, to do the melody in lower notes. Like, I'm already playing everything an octave lower than it is in the original. Technically, I should be playing it down here. And before some of you ask, no, I'm not going to play this with a clean tone. I mean, I can, but it just doesn't speak to me as much. I mean, when I do play with the clean tone, it's very much just for the, like, the funky stuff. Or that, like, hyper clean with, like, maybe a chorus on it. Just a cast away. If we go back to our other preset, yeah, I much prefer to play it like this, where I get a little bit more of a crunch on it. If I want to clean it down, I can. But yeah, I like to dig in a little bit more when I need to. So yeah, I think we're at an interesting spot where I can just do like intro and section A, where it's still the intro basically at this point, but just not as soft. Then section B, we go back to section A and perhaps we do a little bit of a solo on it. Section B and we do a little bit of a solo on it. Then we go back to section A and maybe we do it a little bit more chill, like maybe just with the lower notes. We can do something interesting with section B, since the chords in there are much more straightforward. It's E flat, F, and G minor. Maybe we could try and do the melody of the B section, but with the chords of the A section, which are a little bit more interesting. lie, before this, I listened to the song, but before that, I was listening to this version of Black Hole Sun, played by Janek, Gwizdala, and some other amazing musicians. And because that song is also in G minor, Black Hole Sun, won't you come, wash away the rain, Black Hole Sun. I'm missing a chord there, but it's also in the key of G, has some similar chords. I think I'm getting somewhat influenced by both, which on one hand is kind of interesting because I can do like all the effects of Black Hole Sun if I want to, and we can make it a little bit of a mashup, like Black Hole Sun meets Verdes, and get some like Leslie speaking and chorus sounds. Fun, to be honest, but I don't think it's appropriate for this song. At least not in this way. But yeah, who knows? There's a lot of different options for this. And again, we can also get like maybe heavier with the delay and reverb. This is being fun, honestly, just playing around. If you've been following the channel, I've been doing a lot of editing for the past couple of months, so it's fun to be a little bit more free of just editing videos and doing all of that boring work and just have some fun playing. Let's leave you with some encouraging notes. I funked that last chord. I wanted to do a C13, not C, sorry, G. Ended up doing a, fancy, G minor major 7 with a 6 on it. Definitely not the flavor I was looking for, but it's a cool sound. Very like melodic minor sort of a sound. Alright, enough playing for today. I've been here for 29 minutes at this point, so it's basically midnight now. And yeah, even though I don't really care about like if it's midnight and technically we're at the next day, for me the next day counts after I awaken after being asleep. So yeah, right now, today is tomorrow, but it is still today. And like with most days, I'm going to go to sleep tomorrow and wake up tomorrow, rather than going to sleep today and waking up tomorrow. I think that was enough of a recap. I'm figuring the song out. I think we can do this in 9 days and not have this shitty of an audio and image quality. So I'll see you tomorrow for day 2. And I'm going to have a very busy day, so this might be the only time I have to practice. Tempo is just a frame of mind. If I knew the song better, I kind of have to figure out a way to make sure that I play it. Mentioning as well that this is one of those songs that no matter how much you work on, breathe like he did. Some of the bass changes that I was doing last night were not quite right. Probably go balls to the wall. Hello there. So I don't know if you know, but this is part of a documentary I made. Now, you can hypothetically just wait a couple of days until a new shorter video where it's all segmented down will come out, or you can just go into my YouTube channel and watch the full documentary, which was honestly how I envisioned this content to go, but not everyone's going to go watch a long documentary, so yeah, either go watch the documentary or just wait a couple of days. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and stay tuned for more if you want to indeed stay tuned for more.